What's good? What's good? It's the one, the only, but what do I know? Boxer coming back at y'all with another one, man. I got Gary Russell in the news finally, man. So it's possible that he might get a title shot at WBA 130-pound titleist Hector Garcia. Now, I've done recent videos. I just actually did a video on Gary Russell saying like where has he been and all this type of stuff. But I've also done a video, man, talking about the PBC and how they must have good ties with the WBA. Seeing how, like, for example, Rolly, I just talked about this. Rolly Romero coming off of his knockout loss to Tank Davis. A year later, he's able to fight for the WBA title at 140, which was previously held by Alberto Puello, right? Now, coming off of a loss, he was able to get a title shot. And not only that, I remember going all the way back with Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner lost to Sean Porter. Granted, these are at different weight classes, and I understand that. But Adrian Broner lost to Sean Porter by unanimous 12-round decision or whatnot. And his next fight, he was able to come back and fight for the WBA title at 140. So I don't know if it's like a specific rule or what, but it seems like the PBC has a very good plug-in with the WBA. Granted that each of these fights, these guys lost at a different weight class. I understand, Gary Russell has been out of the ring since January of 2022. His last fight against Mark Massaña, where he did lose in a close fight. I thought it was very competitive, especially seeing how Gary Russell only had one arm in the fight because he injured his other arm during the fight or whatnot. But he's been inactive since then. Well, Gary Russell's really been inactive basically his whole career almost. But I understand, like, Gary Russell lost at 126. This is a top fight for 130. Rolly lost at 135. Now he gets a title shot at 140. AB lost at it was welterweight, but it was a catchweight at 144. Moves down to 140, gets a title shot at WBA. So I mean, let's the main article, this really is about Hector Garcia possibly facing Lamont Roach, but I wanted to speak on Gary Russell, the situation with Gary Russell. Should Gary Russell get a shot? Okay. All right. So shout out to BoxingScene.com. It says Hector Garcia versus Lamont Roach, May 25th purse bid hearing scheduled for a WBA title fight. A purse bid hearing has been ordered for Hector Luis Garcia and Lamont Roach WBA junior lightweight title fight. Despite a granted extension during the negotiation process and even a point where both sides appear to have reached an agreement, the mandatory title fight will now head to a May 25th purse bid hearing in Houston. WBA officials confirmed to BoxingScene.com that that bout is one of two ordered title fights to appear on the docket for that day, paired with Alexander Usyk, Daniel Dubois heavyweight title consolidation bout. The WBA registered promoters were informed of the proceedings in a letter obtained by BoxingScene.com. The minimum accepted bid for Garcia vs. Roach is $120,000, which will be split 75. That would suck if you're Lamont Roach. 75-25 favor in favor of Garcia as the defending titleist. Promoters who plan to bid on the fight are required to submit a $5,000 non-refundable participation fee, with the highest accepted amount also required to be accompanied with 10% deposit to secure rights. Garcia Roach was formally ordered on March 20th and came to a 30-day deadline to reach a deal. Representatives for both parties initially agreed on an extension of the belief that the deal will be reached. Both sides and the WBA previously communicated to Boxing Scene that an agreement was in place as of April 27th and that the matter would not heed to a purse bid. None of the involved parties would confirm whether that meant Garcia Roach fight was on the horizon, or if it meant that Garcia would be permitted to enter a voluntary defense. Prior to the WBA ordered mandatory title, PBC sought to have Garcia, who has the record of 16-1 with 10 knockouts, to defend against former WBC featherweight titleist Gary Russell Jr. The absence of a signed agreement in place prompted the WBA to instead call for Garcia to enter talks with Roach, who has been mandatory since last summer. Garcia claimed the WBA 130-pound title and a 12-round unanimous decision victory over Roger Gutierrez. I guess that's his name. Last August in Hollywood, Florida. The win came with the understanding that he would be granted a voluntary fight if he honored his mandatory obligation within the 9-month period to make a title defense. The 31-year-old Dominican southpaw used the opportunity to challenge for Gervonta's WBA regular title in their January 7 Showtime pay-per-view headliner, resulting in Garcia's first and lone career defeat. When Davis' late power surge momentarily left Garcia with compromised vision after the 8 rounds of action in front of the sold-out Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. So, all right. So I'm gonna talk about. I really wanted to. I'm gonna focus more on Devin. I mean, I'm sorry, I said Devin. I'm gonna focus more on Gary Russell. As far as Garcia versus Gary Russell, because that's kind of crazy, but it's not surprising, All right, so here's my thing, man. For one, do I feel like Gary Russell deserves a title shot? No, absolutely not. I think we can all agree on that. Gary Russell he's just too inactive. But it's still good to see Gary Russell back in the ring. I actually would be interested in this fight, just being honest, because I think Gary Russell is a very talented fighter. We just don't get to see enough of him, right? But I actually think this would make for a very good fight, Gary Russell and Hector Garcia. It also puts him, fights like this actually put him in more of a situation to call for a Tank fight. Now you're fighting somebody that Tank just fought. And if you can do a better job at beating them, then you make a statement and you make a case to get a fight with Tank Davis. And, that's kind of what I've been asking for. So, should this fight happen, I would definitely be excited and I'll definitely tune in for it. But the only problem is I kind of feel like Hector Garcia will be at a moment of like, what do I get out of fighting Gary Russell? The man has been inactive. The man, he's coming off of a loss. Like, what do I get out of this? And for me, I mean, though that is understandable and that's a good argument to make, I would say that he would actually do more for Hector Garcia than Lamont Roach would. I don't think Lamont Roach is a decent fighter. I don't know too much about him outside. I think he only has one loss, and I know that loss is to Jamel Herring. And I'm gonna be honest, bro, I never really thought Jamel Herring was that impressive. Even as Shakur beat him, like I look at, like, I don't look at Jamel Herring just being that guy to enhance anybody. I mean, he did beat Carl Frampton though, and Carl Frampton is a guy that I'm a fan of. I like his style, so I give Jamel Herring that. But he lost to Ladarius Miller, But anyways, regardless, it's not about him. Lamont Roach, Lamont Roach he's a good fighter, but I don't see him that fight just getting really the eyes of anybody. At least Gary Russell, though he's coming off of a loss and inactivity, which is something that he always does, come off of inactivity, at least that'll be a bigger name for your resume. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, with Gary Russell, that's the right direction you want to go in if you're going to continue to pursue a fight with Tank Davis. Why not get somebody that he's fought and possibly do a better job? Now, in that fight, who would I pick? I probably would pick Gary Russell to beat Hector Garcia. Well, ain't no probably to it. I actually would pick Gary Russell to beat Hector Garcia. Now, I don't know how he beats him. Maybe by decision. I don't know if he stops him. But I think I would pick Gary Russell to beat. But the thing is, bro, Gary Russell's going to make a hard case for him to get that title fight when he's already inactive. And the WBA is probably looking at that like, bro, we don't want this inactive champion, this inactive fighter to hold our belt. So I don't know if we should be expecting a fight with him and Hector Garcia at least next, but that's something that they're working on right now. So I just wanted to inform you guys about that and to get your opinion on it. All right, let me know what you guys think about Hector Garcia versus Gary Russell, or would you rather see Hector Garcia versus Lamont Roach. Like, comment, subscribe. Who do you see winning each fight? But what do I know?